Right, welcome back to the Front Three podcast with myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, the prodigy himself, AJ. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we doing?
Good evening. I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man, doing?
Good.
I'm very well, boys. I'm very well. Good to be back. It's been a while. I hope people have been missing us. Let's give them a good one today.
Oh, we have to. So international break is over, finally. But
Bro, the
as
worst.
football as football experts, we have to do well to cover it, I guess, in some way, shape, or fashion. So, just a quick recap, then, gents. Particularly regarding England, they have now qualified for the Euros. They beat Italy 3-1 at Wembley. Um, Quick thoughts on the performances, especially of Bellingham, the team itself, and then the prospect heading into next year.
I think so. I was watching the game and the first 15 minutes, I thought Italy was superb. Thought they moved the ball well. They looked exciting. They looked dynamic, both down the left and the right. And then, they took the lead not long. And I was like, oh, well, England, what do we have here? And do you know what? It was interesting. Like, news has been, going on about Bellingham and how good he is and his ability. But my gosh, what a performance on the night. He literally was England's catalyst and he was incredible. And I just feel like, especially with him, Rashford, Kane, they had a different kind of balance, especially going forward. And especially with Foden, a lot has been made about Foden playing out from the wide right or being on the left and stuff. But I think just in the way that Bellingham stretches teams and makes the third man runs in behind, it gave Foden a chance to also get one-on-one with his fullback or drift inside to the space where Bellingham had vacated. And you could see the link-ups, the little passes between him, Kane, Bellingham. It just works. For some weird reason, it works. I feel like midfield-wise, in terms of Calvin Phillips, and I thought he was terrible. You can tell he's not been playing football. You can tell he was lacking sharpness, made some rash tackles, was lucky to be still on the pitch. But I think the shining light was the character to come back against a very good outfit in Italy, number one. Number two, Bellingham's rise is crazy. And for me, since sliced bread, I haven't seen anything better. Just his ability, just his ability to do everything. His ability to create, his ability to take on people, his ability to run behind, his
And
ability
score.
to score, his ability to
Especially
also
these days with
create.
midfielders,
Yeah,
it's very underrated. I think if we've kind of like bypassed the ability of midfielders to be able to like score goals, but it's good to see that he's a midfielder like him has got that in his game.
and just the ability for him to create space, and he wants to be the center of attention. He wants to take the game on. He wants to make something happen. You don't see that a lot with many young players that come through. A lot of them are shy for the first few years and they play it safe, and maybe once or twice when you see them do something kind of special. But he wants to do something all the time, and I think it's just so refreshing to have someone like that in the England team. And his mentality is just second to none. So he excites me. Him and that being in the England team excites me, and he can only get better.
Mm. Coach, was the result more due to England being good or Italy not being that great?
I think it can be part and part of both. I look at the Italian team and Italy's going through a transition.
Yeah,
AJ said they're a good outfit. It's one of the worst teams I've seen Italy put out in a long time. There was no going.
I think they're a decent outfit.
I saw El Sharari and I said, England, you lose to them, I'll never forgive you again.
Yeah, I think they're a good outfit. I think they play some
Yes,
decent
I mean,
football.
look, the top teams will always put on a performance, because they just
Yeah.
know how to. But I'm looking at the Italian team, and it's no surprise for a few years now, they've not been doing anything since they won the Euros. They've missed the last World Cup, and they've got to still qualify for this. I don't think they're a good, great team. The quality isn't what it used to be. And I think for a long time, they had the stalwarts of, let's say, Chiellini and Bonucci at the back, and they sort of neglected everyone else that's coming up. And now those two are gone, and they've not really replaced them. Bringing a Sebi and all these kind of guys, yeah, they'll do a job, but they're not going to take you to the level you need to because they're old in themselves. So I think it will take them a while to come back. I think England just shows the quality they have. they're operating at a different pedigree to Italy in the sense of
The
the
bench
quality of play.
itself.
The depth
Yeah.
in it.
Oh,
It's just crazy. And so it was just a matter of time. It's good to show a character you can go down and come back like they did. You know, you could almost see that last time they played Italy at Wembley, you all know what happened, and we're like, no, you don't know this one. Like Rashford, the way Rashford just buried his goal just tells you. It's sort of like put everything into perspective, the difference in quality. Like Donnarumma just thought, there's no point in even diving for it. That's how quick it just went, And so it's good to see England doing that. They've got great quality all over the place. And also it's sort of it always gets me thinking, right? We can say whatever we want with selection from Southgate, but he keeps doing what he keeps doing, and they keep providing for him. They keep producing for him, and so
but coach, you could be manager of England. In fact, you're a coach. I could be manager of England, and we could get a result. It's just a talent. It's just the assembling of the talent.
Got a very good team, and arguably the best number 9 out there. His ruthlessness, Harry Kane, is just on levels. And he's got so much to his game, this guy. He's not got speed, but you could just tell how he knocked the ball past the Italian defense and they couldn't catch him. And Harry Kane is not rapid. That's the quality that Italy is
with right my days.
You know what I'm saying? So listen, all the credit to England. They've done it, and I can't wait for the tournament.
So according to the bookies, England, France are joint favourites then for the Euros. Boys, would we say that both teams are clear favourites for the tournament?
Whoa. I wouldn't say clear. There are a couple of teams in there of a shout, I think. If you're looking at in terms of squad depth and quality, well,
these two are the top.
You can't look past the French and the English. But then you have the dark horses that are, Portugal, who have a very well assembled squad, a very good manager. Then you can never count out the Germans just because they're the Germans. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's very bold to call anyone a clear favorite. I think if we're talking on paper, squad-wise, who has the talent and the squad depth for you to be able to say, do you know what? These two will go far. Of course, the French and the English. However, when you have the likes of Germany still in the tournament, you have the likes of, Portugal with that team and Ronaldo still playing football, you can never count them out. So, that's me anyway. I don't know. Coach might differ. He might come and say a crazy team like, I don't know, Sweden or something. So,
no, I agree with you. AJ. I think when we're talking about depth and quality, I think France and England are ahead of everyone else in because these two countries, they consistently produce good quality. They go into every tournament and you can trust that they're bringing good players and a good team. The only thing is this, between now and then, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
And so, right now they might look in good condition, but comes then you lose one of your better players like Bellingham is missing, or, Mbappe can't start a few games or something like that. Then you're looking at them thinking, what are we going to do? And so you always have to keep that in mind. But aside from that, I think Spain, the kind of football they play, I don't really enjoy Spain's team as it is now individually. But they still play a kind of football where you have to be on your game in the sense of concentration and being very, very ruthless when your chances come along in order to beat them. But they are beatable. And so you want to keep an eye on them. I think Portugal is a good shout. Belgium, we thought their golden generation has died off, but they still got a few gems here and there. And they
golden generation?
But, you see what I'm saying? There's a but. But I think initially, yeah, England and France, I mean, as long as England is playing in a tournament and the quality that I see them going into tournaments with, they will always be one of my favorites. France will be there as well. I think you've mentioned Portugal. Germany they've changed to Nagelsmann and they seem to be finding their feet again. Not like, it's weird, right? Because they were suffering with Hansi Flick, but they had qualified anyway. So it's
interesting.
Yeah. They were going through a very unfamiliar, patch for a German team, but they seem to have gone over it and slowly trying to mold themselves again. They're a good team. They've not shown that in the last couple of tournaments, but when they turn up, they really turn up. So it should be an exciting Euros, guys. Very good.
Absolutely. Let's turn our attention then to the Premier League. And 8 games in, Guess who's on top? Tottenham Hotspur. They play Fulham, the mighty Fulham, on Monday.
If I ever need anyone to do me a favor, do me a favor. It's the Craven Cottage boys.
How impressed have you been with Ange Postecoglou and his Tottenham outfit this season, boys?
Do you know what? It's interesting is I think someone made a statement. I can't remember. It was in a press conference, and they tried to compare him to Mikel Arteta. And someone put on social media and said, "You guys are crazy to compare the two, but only because Ange has been managing for years. The time when he started managing, Arteta was still playing football. So he has a know-how. He has a clear plan, and he has a way in which his teams play. And we've seen that in the first 8 games at Tottenham. And this is a Tottenham side without Harry Kane, by the way, who many thought once he leaves Tottenham would disintegrate. Do you know what I mean? But he's come in and he's managed to implement his style early. He's so charismatic and has such a dry sense of humor at times in press conferences that it almost takes pressure away from his side, which is something every top manager knows how to do in one way or another. Mourinho does it by putting all the attention on himself, for example. Pep does it by giving a few jokes here and there or pretending he doesn't understand the question, like he does a lot of the times. So every manager who manages the top club always knows how to kind of alleviate pressure off the team and kind of make things about him. And he does that in such a natural way. And to be top of the tree after 8 games, playing very good football as well, getting a tune out of the likes of Maddison, Son, who's now changed positions, he's playing him as a number 9. Jesse Bissouma, who many had written off, he's managed to get a tune out of the right players. And the centre-back signing of, I forget his name now, the young centre-half, he's a great player. So far, so good.
Yeah, I think for me, 2 things. He's shown to be very brave. The manager going to a team like Tottenham, to a team like Tottenham, there would have been a bit of a sort of like hesitation in wanting to implement what you wanted to do, because the last couple of managers they've had have been the best in the business, right? Yeah. In their history, and they didn't do much. This goes to show, in football, you get given the chance. That's all you can ask for, right? And show what you can do. I think he's been very brave. You talk about Bissouma. I've been watching him this season, and he looks top quality.
Bro,
top quality. And it's weird, isn't it, that a player could be, for one manager, not even get a sniff, but then for another manager, he steps in and he looks like a world beater. But then you've got Hodgberg, who can't even get a sniff now. It's just weird.
It's like they swapped. It's like they swapped destinies. It's so weird.
Precisely. Are you speaking of destiny? They've got him at left back, who's doing quite good.
He played well for Italy as well, by the way.
Yeah,
he did.
I think one thing for me with Tottenham, I think I like the manager's bravery in both how he's come in and just implemented what he wanted to do, in the way they play and in the decisions he's making. And also, the second thing, the combinations he's got. I think the midfield is a Papa Sarr and Bissouma work just brilliantly.
Yeah.
It's been a revelation for Son, because he's got goals in him. Now they've got him in a place where he's not having to do as much running as he did on the left. So he can reserve his quality in the final third. And it's been paying off for them. They are very thin. That's the only caution. They're very thin. Right now, it's not an issue because everyone is able to play.
But come January,
we've got African Cup of Nations. You look at even Arsenal, as well as they're doing their front 3, arguably their best front 3 have not played much together. So I'm making a point. Injuries could happen any point. You lose Maddison, they lose creativity. You lose Bissouma. When you got a red card, they almost drew a game, but they came back and shown what they can do. So those things are. It's one thing that I don't know if Tottenham's got any contingency plans for, because I look at their bench and the players coming on are not great quality. But I didn't give them much chance, and they've started off the season so well. I just hope, well, maybe for you guys, you don't hope they continue that, but I think it will be very interesting if they do, to see what spanner they throw into the works, because it means 1 top or 3 top teams are going to miss out, and it will be very brilliant.
Well, then again, this season the top 5 potentially could get into the Champions League,
so
with the new rules as well.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. So arguably the game of the weekend is Man City versus Brighton. What do we make of Brighton and, of course, their manager, Roberto De Zerbi? Potential
Again,
successor?
to Pep, I think that's a stretch. And do you know what? Again, it's similar to Ange going in at Spurs. You know, he comes into a job where there's already pressure because of how well Graham Potter did and the things Potter had achieved with Brighton. Not just their highest finish, but in terms of recruitment, in terms of playing style, and in terms of pleasing the fans. And do you get what I'm trying to say? Hence why Potter got the move to Chelsea. Anyway, we won't talk about that. So he's coming with a little bit of pressure, but he's come in, and remember when he came in, the whole Caicedo thing had now imploded. There was a lot of things he had to deal with, but he made a few shrewd signings in getting experience in with the likes of James Milner, yeah, and he's implemented his style perfectly. Now, the problem he faces now is that, you know, can he always be brave with his approach? We've seen it work and we've seen it not work. And also, he likes to tinker, especially with his front line. You know, Ferguson comes in, and then there's João Pedro or Welbeck. So you can tell that he likes to change things around. But one thing I will say is, whenever he changes it around, they still have the same components of approach play, the same combinations. So it's very interesting. But now, I believe it's Estepinian, the left back, who's been amazing so far for them, is now injured significantly. So we'll see how that affects his method of thinking. But I really like him. I really like him. I like his honesty, his humility, and I like how he goes for games. He makes games exciting. But to succeed, Pep Guardiola? Man, I don't know, man. There's a guy called Coach Dan. If you haven't heard of him, he might be in a running.
See, I need a better team than City. I'll say this, and you guys can quote me anywhere. I think he's the best manager in the Premier League.
I like the boldness there. There you go.
Wow.
Better than Pep. Or do we just remove Pep because Pep is like
You mean Cop? You didn't even say Cop, manager Pep. You're silly. You're very silly.
How? Pep won the treble last year. What are you talking about?
I'll pretend I didn't hear that anyway. I think it's just a simple fact. I don't see any other manager being able to do what he's done with that Brighton team in the time he's been there.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't think any manager can do that. And the quality of players. Let's not get anything twisted, guys. They have one of the worst teams in the Premier League, or individual players, I mean, in the sense of they're very young and they're not hitting the heights that they can hit. So you look at them and you're thinking, how is he able to do this with this team?
Genius.
Really, when you think about it, he's doing phenomenal job. And AJ, you're right, because of the nature of how young the squad is and just not being as quality as they need to be in the Premier League to challenge for the positions that they've been flirting with, I think he's the best manager in the Premier League. And so you can only think he succeeds Pep if that was to ever happen, if someone don't come and nick him because he's that good. I don't see why he can't do that with better players. I can't see why he can't do that with better players. Because you look at the Premier League, right? Apart from Manchester City, who mostly dominate the game possession-wise, Brighton is the next team. And you think, how are they able to do that, Brighton? With man like Billy Gilmore, these Welbeck,
Pascal Gross, who's had a great start to the season.
I mean, if he's doing wonders with them. I really like him. I think, he's got, he's not got a good grasp of the English language yet, but you can still see he's got a bit of charisma. He's an honest manager. He tried not to hide things, and he's very, very straightforward in what he's trying to communicate. And I think that also speaks volumes because managers and coaches have ideas. Yeah, I know some of them play some dumb football. You think, they just got there and they said, let's play football, yeah? But they all have ideas, but it's who's able to transmit that to their team. And not only that, for them to bring onto the football pitch. And he does it too well for the time he's been there and what he's helped them to achieve. And he's making that club loads of money because every player that plays for him now, their transfer value triples by 5.
Triples, bro. Literally.
And so it will be wonderful to see if he takes over a team that's got top quality players, what he can achieve, because I think he's a real deal.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Quick prediction then, guys. What would be the result of this game? City, if they lose, will be the first time in a very long time they've lost 3 in a row in the Premier League.
Nothing's impossible. No, I'm joking. I don't think it will happen. Look, at the end of the day, we've always seen it. When City face a little bit of adversity, that's when they come back and they go on a stupid run and they're going to trouble. All right? Happened last year, okay? Where Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were like, whoa, call it. They quietly went about their business. And then when it was loud, it was too late for anyone to do anything about it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So they've got too much quality. They've got the best manager we've seen. They'll win.
Yep, I think by coaches nodding, I can tell where he's going for that game. Let's move on to the Merseyside derby. This tie always goes one way. Is it Liverpool the way for
this one? There'll be some Evertonians upset at you right now. Liverpool, for me, I think the new ecosystem he's building in that midfield can't break it. I don't think that Everton midfield will be able to deal with it. The only way Everton get a result if they turn it into a dogfight and nick something. But just in terms of like the levels of quality, there's a huge gulf in class between the two. And I think it's one of the biggest I've seen for a long time in terms of the quality individually.
Yeah.
It was scary, the gulf in class between the two. So yeah, I'd say Liverpool.
Coach, Andy Robertson, shoulder injury. How much of a miss would that be for Liverpool, sort of?
He's only been like the best left back in the league for the last 3-4 years, so he's going to be a big miss. I think, you know, Liverpool, as well as they've been playing, they've been a bit of a suspect. You know, I know AJ, you mentioned the midfield, but I think they've got a bit of a soft belly to them. They lack discipline. How early they
I get what you mean,
and the amount that they concede, because I don't think they have any backbone or steel in the midfield, even though they've got great quality. It's Szoboszlai and I think and McAllister. They've got great quality, but I don't think they have that player who can be like a pivot and help out the defense and plug in those gaps when, you know, these attacking fullbacks move ahead. And I think it's been costing them. They play, you know, so far they've found ways, because I said beginning of the season, scoring goals has never been Liverpool's problem.
This is the thing, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know,
they've got so much options and variety and options up front that they can tinker and move and do this. You know, sometimes this guy's playing, then this guy's out, then this guy comes in, and it always works because they'll score goals. But I think even the midfield, they needed someone. They needed someone solid.
Yeah. Hence why they were trying to get Lavia,
I mean, even him, he wouldn't have been anything. I think Caicedo is good because he can sit and do that. I don't think Lavia was even the profile of player that they needed, but I get the potential why they needed him.
Well, let's see. He's coming back from injury soon.
No, it's true. No, I mean, if you're talking about Lavia, yeah, he's got great potential, but I don't expect him at 18, 19 to get into a team and do for Liverpool, let's say, what Virgil van Dijk did for them when he went to the back. I don't think that's fair for either of them, the team and the player themselves. But they're finding themselves, they're finding a way through games. You score 3, they'll score 5.
Bro,
that's how they're playing right now, and it's been working out for them. They need to address it. They will need to address it in January.
Definitely. So I did say Brighton City potentially is the game of the weekend, but you can argue Chelsea versus Arsenal is up there as well. What do we think of this game? Chelsea, they've won 2 on the bounce in the Premier League against Fulham and Burnley. Arsenal, dramatic win against City, level on points with Spurs. How do we see this game going?
Well, look, I always say this. When everyone plays Arsenal, they raise their game. So however bad Chelsea have been, they're going to be good on the day. It's just about Arsenal just doing what they need to do. I think Arsenal will win. I don't doubt that we won't. I just believe it's just going to be a tight game. I just think with the way Chelsea have been, I don't think they'll come out to, you know, attack us and try and beat us at the possession or whatever. I think they'll try and be compact. And then it'll be interesting to see how he tinkers with the lineup. I don't think it will be what we think. I think he'll make a few changes, especially in the forward areas, to try and nullify our fullbacks. But it'll be interesting. I think the most pleasing part of this for me will be the tactical side of it, I think.
it's funny because I don't actually agree with that. I think tactically, I think Arsenal are miles ahead of Chelsea. I don't think when the two teams are on the pitch, Chelsea can even dare to compare themselves to Arsenal. In the way, no, I'm very serious about that. I'm very serious about that. I think Arsenal they're just above the curve in comparison to Chelsea anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing actually I think will be an Achilles heel for Arsenal is the mentality. And this is what I mean. After beating City, I know they're pumped. They want to maintain that gap that they've got. So now when you're playing a rival like Chelsea, they've been a bit hot and cold, but you know you can beat them. You know you can beat them, but you also don't want to lose points to them. And so it could be the players could approach the game a bit cautiously. Maybe that's not how the manager sets them to play, but it could just happen that they just don't get going, especially after international break and all these.
And this is what I'm saying. So for me, tactically, I think that's where it's gonna that's gonna be the most enjoyable aspect. How is Poch gonna set up? How does he agree with what you're saying about mentality wise? So we need to tell Chelsea to go out and not try and play football but fight. These are the little subplots that you're trying to work out. There'll be key battles all over the pitch as well. So
yeah. I mean, of course. Look, you can't play these kinds of games without that tactical aspect, right? Because you're always trying to be one step ahead of your opponent. And that's fair enough. I know for sure tactically though, Chelsea cannot go in there and approach Arsenal like they have done in the past when they used to be a team Chelsea, because they know Arsenal is a real deal now. Not only that, they beat the best team in the world. 1-0, however you want to call the game, wherever, it's a mentality shift for Arsenal. I did mention beginning of the season, guys, they need to learn how to beat City. They did that.
You did.
You know, and so it's just that shift of mentality. That's the biggest thing that I think they needed for these young boys at Arsenal to think, we can beat the best. We can beat the best, and then we've got to keep that going. I still don't know their mentality on how they keep that going against a team where they could spring a surprise on you, because it's Chelsea. No matter what you say about them,
they got 10,000 players. You don't know who's going to play.
Exactly, and it's the rivalry as well. So I think that's the only thing to see how Arsenal manage tomorrow. And so it'll be interesting to see. But if you're talking about form, quality, tactics,
come on,
individual players, I think Chelsea should be very scared of Arsenal.
Depends. Poch is a bit bullish, so let's see how he
is the top manager. He is the top manager. You're correct.
Definitely. So yes, that does it for our international break roundup and our Premier League preview. Make sure you check us out during the week. We've got a Ballon d'Or special. We all know who's going to win that award, right?
Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland. If there's nothing else, I told you guys that thing's rigged anyway. So
check that out and continue to follow us on all socials. That is it for me, Big Will, Coach, and of course the prodigy himself, AJ. And we'll be back next week.